Hey internet, Orc speaking. Hookah, mail, snow, bridge, rope. These obscure things all have one thing in common. They are all location names inside of Valorant, also known as callouts. Now there are two different kinds of callouts, custom callouts and universal callouts. Custom callouts are the ones with unique names. On the map Bind, there's a specific place called Gardens because there's a garden. We're not going to talk too much about these kind of callouts because it's a bit like learning the multiplications table. You just gotta play, learn from other people, pull up the in-game map every now and then, and eventually memorize them. However, there is actually a logic behind the naming convention for what I'm going to call universal callouts. Here's a test map I use to teach newer players how to understand map layouts in Valorant. First, let's start with our spawn points. This bottom part is called attacker spawn or T-spawn, which the T is short for terrorist. The term comes from its spiritual predecessor, a game called Counter-Strike, where a terrorist group would try to plant a bomb at one of the two bomb sites. Valorant did try to tone down the mood, but some of the terms still stuck. So as you probably could have guessed, the other spawn is called Defender Spawn or CT, which is short for counter-terrorist. We'll start on the T side. On this particular map, in order to go to the B bomb site, there is only one main entrance. Whenever there is only one entrance from the T side, it's normally called main. Therefore, this would be B main. If there are two entrances, like for example on A, you go by using the term long and short, since one is almost always larger than the other. So this would be A long, and this is A short. Now this large middle section is called mid. A path that allows you to get from and to mid and is loosely pointed at a site are called links. So on this map, there is both a B link and an A link. And this part up here would be top mid because it's a higher elevation. Now let's switch gears and go to the CT side. First up, the main entrance to a site is also confusingly called CT. Just like how this section would still be called mid, even though the entire part is mid. You gotta remember that a callout is not a specific spot, but more of a general location. Now this entrance for the CTs on A site is called heaven and hell, which is a high ground and a low ground immediately underneath it. So heaven, hell, you get the idea. Last, let's talk about the callouts when you're on a site. If there is a way to rotate around while still being on site the entire time, it's called an elbow. So this would be B elbow and this would be A elbow. Now you normally wouldn't say A or B because if you're on the site, you would only be talking about that site elbow, just like that site CT. Also, there is a back site, which is the side of the site that is closer toward the CT side. Wherever the agreed upon spot that you're supposed to plant the bomb is called default. And of course, if there are any nooks and crannies that a rat could sneak into, that is always called a cubby. Now you should have a basic idea of where you are at all times, no matter what map you're playing on. Now would also be a good time to say every map is also very different. Some callouts might get mixed up if that's what the community decides. So use this more as a starting point, but if someone corrects you for a specific map, be sure to update your database as you go. Now before we go, there is some syntax that is also very important when combining it with a callout. So for example, Killjoy is CT versus Killjoy was CT versus Killjoy was last seen CT are three very different callouts. So it's very important to make sure you're feeding your team the correct information, since false information is oftentimes even worse than no information. Alright, thank you guys so very much for watching. Don't forget to do the YouTube stuff, like, comment, and subscribe if you've learned something, and I'll see you all next time.